a lot of static or noise. Speaking of noise, so I had to lift. Okay, testing the Saramonic mic, Cine Gear. Okay, so here's an interesting test. So now the light cancellation is on as the alarm goes off.
Hello, can you hear us?
And we are.
Okay, as I'm setting up, of course, we've got helicopters overhead, multiple. Here's going to be a challenging audio test. It's in the middle of a southern thunderstorm here. I'm in North Carolina. So this is my case for having two mics, especially if you make money with your cameras, and especially if you're like me, probably wearing too many hats and carrying too much gear and managing multiple audio and video equipment, which is the perfect storm to mess up at least one thing, as I have more times than I can count. But in this case, at least, less is not always more. You see, I almost completely botched a client shoot the other day, which could have easily been avoided and saved me literally 8 hours in the edit had I owned a second wireless mic system. And yet, if I'm in a hurry and can only bring one, 9 times out of 10, I'm grabbing one of these over my normal set because, okay, and right on cue, I made a massive mistake in this video. Instead of having to re-record the whole thing, I'm going to leave it in and see if I can fix it, and let me know if you can hear it, but I'll let you know at the end what it was. But damn, it's always something. Okay. And look, I totally get it. This is definitely a first world problem, but what I really mean is if you shoot with more than one camera like I do, and you're not just holding that camera, you're producing, lighting, fluffing pillows, or whatever is needed, then it probably makes sense on paper to have more safeguards in place, right? To have two mics if you can, but specifically, I'm now gravitating towards this new class of systems like the Saramonic Air mics, which have become the mics I always keep on me for a few fundamental reasons, one of which I'm laying out as we speak. Yeah. Also, if you are a Sony shooter, there's an added motivation / feature here, but to know, ironically, I'm more likely to use these Saramonic mics on my Canon, Nikon, or Lumix, because on my bigger rigged up A camera, my Sony FX3, I use the DJI Mic 2s with, which might as well be permanently attached to it. And funny enough, I even have a third separate transmitter that I keep paired with my Pocket 3 for a similar reason. But now as my daily driver, I lean towards these because first, they're more discreet, compact, and cheaper while still sounding equally as good. Oh wait, because you've been listening to them the whole time. This condenser mic is the ruse. So these just work, and typically I'd always use at least the law, but the quality of the transmitter is perfect as is, and why it's become for me my go-to mic for my B camera for work, and just why I keep them in my sling with me at all times, because you just never know. And yet what I do presume you might want to know is this, because all the kids want this or open gay. And I know this is controversial to say, but let's just cut back to this podcasting mic to say it. But dare I say, 32-bit float is overrated for now. And I think deep down you'll agree, because I think I can back that up. And no, these don't have 32-bit float like the Saramonic Ultras. I don't miss it, but you do get a -6 decibel safety track, and it does have a limiter that can suppress sudden peaks before they distort. And with the safety track, you still get extra room to tune it in post. But obviously having clipped audio is awful, but for me, it's usually down to two things, which I don't hear enough about. But one being the settings, of course, and the other is the quality of the lav over the transmitter itself, meaning I'd rather have a high quality lav set up correctly and a cheap transmitter than the other way around with a cheap lavalier. But let me just show you so you can see for yourself, or hear for yourself. And sorry, I did it again. I'm not talking to this mic, I'm talking to the Saramonic Airs, but let me show you what it sounds like in a real world setting. And why not? Let's make all the mistakes. Why not try to use my Helios 44-2 and try to nail focus with this shot? I don't think I got it, but I love these little Shimbol wireless receivers. It's really good, but now Saramonic did send these to me, so this is a sponsored video. But the good thing about reviewing camera or audio equipment is I can just present you with the images or the sound quality, and then I put it through some real world scenarios, and you can judge for yourself with your eyes and your ears. Of course, under the presumption that I'm not some sociopath using high-end cinema cameras or mics pretending that it's from a point and shoot or these budget mics. Speaking of, I did just get back from Cine Gear, which was here at the Universal Backlots. where I did get to chat with Saramonic at their booth, who are actually really cool and down to earth, and I should have probably recorded that segment, but instead I tried miserably to vlog discreetly on these mics because at the time they had not been announced. But it's a perfect example of trying to walk and talk in a very difficult environment that's challenging for both audio and, well, for my self-esteem. I'm certainly walking, and I'm learning how to talk. Sometimes the more people, the better. So I just got through this hour-long conversation with a writer, director, producer who saw me using my camera, my Sony a7C II, in the Sony booth and just decided to ask me some questions about cameras. Luckily, I happen to know a lot about cameras, and he, after 30 minutes, is trying to hire me to work on his project. Hello, hello. Okay, testing the Saramonic Air, Cine Gear. Hello, hello, hello. It's super crowded, super busy, wondering how the mic's gonna handle as I walk through a crowd. Can you hear me over everybody? Okay, the thing I probably like doing the least is trying to talk in public or vlog. And I know this Saramonic Air mic is perfect for that. So I was trying to find a quiet place to sort of go through my thoughts about Cine Gear this year and my unique situations and conversations, which may have led to future jobs, I'm not sure, but it was definitely exciting in the sense that you come to these Cine Gears to make connections with not just brands and vendors, but possibly other shooters, filmmakers, because that's my biggest weakness at the moment is procuring and having sort of friendships and relationships in the filmmaking world for people that want to do similar projects, which is run and gun documentaries or narrative stuff. And both people I talk to were in that world. And most of my friends either have jobs in the industry, but they're more desk jobs. Less people are just picking up cameras, writing, directing, shooting, all the things that I want to do. So when I meet through random occurrences, people that want to do the same, brings a little hope back in, which I think Cine Gear is perfect for, even more so than NAB, which is more based on products, not just for TV productions, which it is that. But you have the same creator class of people going to NAB that you do here at Cine Gear. Whether or not we're welcomed in the same way, it is changing over time. But again, there's more filmmakers here, more people looking to shoot films. So this guy that I ran into was literally looking for advice on how to use a camera, which is something I'm happy to give to anybody for free. And if he's gonna pay me for it, that's even better. Okay, so the Universal tour is going on, and I've got to book it because I got to get home. I will say one issue I'm having is on a sunny day, it is hard to see the LED screen. It's just not very clear. So I didn't even know it was on for the longest time. So as you can see, it's really hard to see in broad daylight. So that could be an issue. I met the representative and she was really nice, really sweet, and it felt good to sort of have a connection with the brand. That's not just via email, so this is a perfect place for that. I should probably have talked to her more regarding the different product lines that I'd like to use. There's obviously step-ups from the Air. There's a more pro line, a more prosumer, and this is the more budget, consumer-friendly line. So I guess if you didn't have the DJI mic 2, you could also have that. Okay, no more games, not a second angle. I've got one camera and two mics, and up first is the DJI mic 2. Now, typically when I show up to a client shoot, which for me is shooting social media content, which is a mix of narrative real estate, documentary work, interviews, and property tours, and I arrive with my Sony FX3 and my 20 to 40 millimeter, and it's fully rigged out with a top handle monitor, battery plate, and the DJI mic 2 with my Sony lavs on, all packed in this big old bag, serving as my A camera next to my C camera, the Osmo Pocket 3 with that third mic, because toggling pairing between devices is a headache. Speaking of, let's switch to the Saramonic. And now we're back to the Air, but switching all the time and carrying all that gear, it's a lot. So anytime I can leave the home and just take one of my compact cameras instead, well, I'm gonna do that. So often I'm going into my clients, a local broker here in Los Angeles, to shoot some run and gun stuff around the office, or sometimes I go in so they can review my footage and give me notes on my edits. And on those days, I'll just bring my sling and I'll put my laptop in there, and I may bring a compact camera to do some pickups, inserts, or establishing shots. And I did that on that day, but I brought in a new camera, which was sort of the problem. Because the problem I always had with all these different bags with different cameras and setups in them for different scenarios, there was always room for error, especially with audio. But then on my way out, I looked back at my rigged out FX3 and thought, I don't know, maybe I should take the DJI mic off of it. But then I was like, it's such a hassle. And the Canon PowerShot V1's internal mic is pretty good, so I think I'm all right. I wasn't. Now, if you saw my most recent camera review, you'll know when I got back from NAB, I bought this Canon PowerShot V1, which is an amazing little vlog camera with seriously good audio straight out of the camera. But I think because of that, I got a little overconfident. Okay, so now I think I have light noise cancellation on. Okay, so high winds, I have the dead cat on, which is obviously what you want when it is windy out. And it's thundering, lightning, very windy. Living in Los Angeles, this is one thing I miss a lot about living in the South is I love the moodiness, sort of romantic, these thunderstorms in the South. I don't know, there's just something about it. Whoa. Did you hear that? And often I'm in a run and gun mode where I might have two people mic'd up, but then a third or fourth person enters the frame and there's some impromptu drama that I need to capture. So with the Saramonics, I can quickly turn them on, plop them around the scene, or attach them to a person, and just like that, I have 4 tracks of audio. Or if I need scratch audio with a safety track during interviews, so it's like having redundant audio, plus no lavs necessary, which now it becomes one of those bring just in case tools that I always keep in my kit alongside, I don't know, my granola bars and my Dr. Pepper. Not sponsored, just a guilty pleasure. They're bad. I love them. They're bad. And then on my back, along with the Zhiyun lights, a fog machine, and just whatever else I'm deciding to schlep along with my B-Cam, my Sony a7C, which is on a gimbal with an ultra-wide 14mm lens. And then sometimes I don't really know which property we're gonna end up shooting, so on the fly I might have to change cameras, so it's nice that I don't have to take the time to switch over the wireless mics, which I know might not seem like a big deal, but trying to pin down some of these realtors to get them mic'd up is hard. Every minute truly counts in those situations. So let me briefly break down the specs and what you get. So the Saramonic Air is a dual channel 2.4 gigahertz wireless mic system, and you get 2 transmitters, both with built-in mics, and 2 lavs if you opt for the $169 version, which is only $20 more. And now I think it's totally worth it for 2 reasons. And I know I just spent this whole time telling you don't need lavs, but there is one surprising design feature that I wasn't expecting. See, typically I'd recommend later down the road you invest in slightly better lavs than what usually comes in with these kits. And I bought these relatively cheap but solid Sony ones over using DJIs because of the quality and because they can rotate the direction of the capsule. Yet what Saramonic did first was they made these circular lavs with a flat back with removable clips, perfect for taping on the talent, which I always also recommend bringing cheap tape with me. So if you're doing narrative work and you definitely don't want people to see that they're mic'd up, you can do that. But they also included foam windscreens, and still the best part is you get these locking connector pins from the lav to the transmitter, which you just push in and twist, which is more like what you find in the more high-end systems, because the last thing you want is for the lav to accidentally unplug or get pulled out, which annoyingly has happened when talent sits down or yanks the line from their pocket. And this all continues with their switch to lock design system language here, especially with the receiver, but I'll get into that. And all of that aside, the real reason I wanted the Air was because of the transmitters themselves without the lavs, because unlike the DJI mics where the transmitters are huge and heavy and not something I typically want to clip on talent, which I've done, but it looks ridiculous. Now, sometimes in a pinch, you need to mic someone up, which happens way more than you'd think, especially in these docu-style shoots. So you can see these transmitters from Saramonic, they are perfect size to capture solid audio, but small enough and light enough to clip on someone's shirt or collar without weighing it down. Oh, and if there's nowhere to clip it, you also get the magnetic back to attach to the shirt wherever. And then continuing with all these thoughtful and secure design elements, you get these dead cats that lock in. So ironically, nothing with these Airs are gonna blow away. Not to mention this whole case is magnetic for some reason, which I won't even realize is useful until it is and I accidentally drive off with it attached to the hood of my car or something. And in general, the case might actually be my favorite part. There's something about the hard, clear cover so you can see your levels with a little LED percentage, which I always prefer over a bar indicator. But mostly, this case is nice because it's all here in this self-contained thing where all the pieces slot in perfectly and magnetically, of course, while still being legitimately small and able to fit into my pocket. But if you do end up getting these lavs, as I think you should, you also get this soft pouch so you can throw it all in the case with the lavs and the adapters and whatever else and still fit everything into your pocket. And I haven't even gotten to the receiver's compact but packed features yet, including some noise cancellation levels. And I'm outside here in LA where I'm either competing with police sirens, helicopters, or an orchestra of air conditioning units whining without cancellation on, or these birds. So let me turn it on to light. So now the light cancellation is on as the alarm goes off, which I can read off of the receiver's 1.05-inch color screen, which has been my only issue here, and I'll show you. And it's a problem you'll have with any mic, but the user interface is solid for monitoring, and then the menu control, which is fairly intuitive and sensitive, even for my fat little fingers. So thankfully, it's not a touchscreen. It's just a matter of presses or long presses. Again, you also get that limiter that handles up to 116 decibels, and with a -6 decibel safety track and a variable low cut setting. And now we'll kick it into strong. So now I'm in strong cancellation as my air conditioning turned on, and you can see how I scroll through all the NC modes from off to light to strong, which honestly works pretty well. And I love that you get that control, even if it's slightly hard to see. But you do get varying lights on the receivers from blue for off, green for on, and blinking red for mute. Now, I wish I'd used either NC modes at SONY gear when swimming upstream through the crowds, but really the only problem I had was probably my fault. Okay, what hubris I had trying to use the Helios 44-2. Now I'm back to an autofocus lens because I'm just done trying to make mistakes on purpose, I guess. But now the brightness of the monitor at the event was not ideal, as I thought it was actually off, but I didn't realize that you can adjust the brightness on the screen. And it was only at 75%. Not sure if that would have made a dramatic difference, as even the screen on my cinema camera is no match for the Southern California sun, which is why I might be picking up one of these cameras, but stay tuned for that. But frankly, these are normal issues, and not just for budget mics, but for any mics. And yet the thing you often don't get with more expensive mics are all these safety features, including the clip-on dead cats, the twist-in lav cords, which by itself would be enough, but you also get this switch to lock design that prevents the receiver from being accidentally unplugged when you connect it to your camera or your phone. So you can really go worry-free all day. Oh, and because not only do you get 9 hours of battery life, and on the transmitter you get 6 hours on the receiver with the screen on, the Air receivers also support charging while you're recording, which is especially great for streaming or live events. Okay, now for the rest of this, I'm gonna put the lav on and the cancellation off. I'm gonna clip this how I would typically, and just see, I haven't actually listened to it yet, so I don't know if this sounds better or worse or about the same, but honestly, both are totally usable. If you need the lav, you can use that, but the transmitter on this is so small that I don't mind using that as well. Whereas the DJI transmitter clipped to a client, it just looks sort of tacky. So back in the office, my client reviewed the footage, and after rounds and rounds of revisions, he just wasn't happy with the conclusions. So he wanted to re-record the end bit. But even though I love my S9 and Canon's new power shoot is fantastic, I usually just trust Sony more for client work. And this thing will probably force my hand to bring my Sony a7C II with me more. And until now, I think DJI was the only one who made these adapters for Sony cameras, which I saw is now sort of essential for the new Sony FX2, so you can actually use the EVF with a wireless mic attached. But again, I use it mostly on my a7C II when I'm on a gimbal. So the camera adapter lets you mount the receiver directly to your camera's hot shoe, and it powers the mic and requires no cables, batteries, or stress. It's one of those tiny workflow things that you don't realize how nice it is until you have it. Okay, so here's an interesting test. I just got out of SONY gear. It was really, really hot, hence the sweat and the sunburn. So I'm just blasting the air conditioning right in my face in the car as I'm gonna get out of the parking lot here. I've got the mic sort of right there. It's not really in the way or not too high. So yeah, SONY gear was much better than last year where it was at Warner Brothers. This year it was at Universal. Very different lot, very different vibe, but equally the same sensibility, but I've changed a little bit. My channel's grown a little bit. I haven't been able to put in a lot of time to my channel. I've been doing work for other people, so you sort of get what you put in. But I do have more confidence in my channel now, whether or not it's deserved by numbers or it's just something I've gained over time. So yeah, it did feel good to sort of feel like I belong there more, you know, fractionally more. So here's what I recently discovered. I think my niche here on YouTube is I'm the compact camera guy, as in I mostly gravitate towards the smallest versions of most cameras, like the A7Cs, the Lumix S9, the ZVE1, the Pocket 3, the ZVE1, the PowerShot V1, the ZFC, the XM5, and even my GoPro and the DJI Mini 2. And I love traveling and can never decide which camera to take. So I often take 2 compact cameras versus 1 bigger one. And I don't always want pro level features because most of what I capture when we're scouring the globe is just me and my family on our little adventures while they put up with me taking too many photos. And I even prefer handheld gaming over using a console on the TV. And then I have literally the smallest truck you can buy here in the US. And I wonder if some part of me thinks that if ever there were a crisis to strike, like an earthquake or an asteroid en route or the inevitable alien invasion, I just want to be able to grab as many compact things as I can and hop in my little Santa Cruz, which can still fit my family if I remember to bring them, so they can carry all my cameras and gear on their laps. And obviously I'd grab the Saramonic Airs over anything else during the apocalypse, so I can vlog the end times with either the Canon or my new favorite, the S9, which has become my main travel camera when I want better quality image while still being relatively small. And now the Saramonic slots perfectly into that wire or not, and fits my whole vibe or niche now. So this is peak travel / dad compact cam content here. I'm testing your voice.
Seals are
but
cute.
don't touch it, just keep it like
Seals
that.
are cute.
Okay, let's hear you talk while you run.
Seals are
go.
cute. Seals are cute. What will you do if, like,
Okay, don't touch it.
Dad?
Yeah, don't touch it.
What will you do, like, the same?
Hello.
Hello? Hello? Can you hear us?
And we are very close to the camera.
No.
And can you see me?
Yeah,
Okay, I'm gonna go around and see if you can still
I can't hear you.
Okay, and just try to keep the camera pointed in my direction. I've got my son as the videographer here. I'm trying to teach him how to use the camera. It's very frustrating for him. I think he's hungry and I need to get him lunch and not have him do daddy camera time, which I think is his least favorite thing whenever I pull out
I
a camera.
can't hear you. Like the statues are.
Oh no, it's not part of it.
But
This is just a regular playground.
no, that forest.
Oh no, it's a different part. This is part of the playground.
But
Different.
would there be statues in there?
No.
Oh.
So here we are. We are near. Now we're gonna go.
Let's go over here.
One
We're
sec.
gonna go.
They can only see my butt.
Yeah, maybe. We each have a lavalier, and we're gonna say, "Can you see us?"
Can you see us?
We don't even have to talk loudly. You can just say, "Can you hear us?"
Can you hear us or see us?
We are near, and now we're far.
And we're far.
Yeah, wait.
We're far.
Bye. Let's go. You can
I'm
hear
going
us.
down the slide.
Oh yeah, perfect. Did you tell me you were going down?
Got it.
Cookie, yes. See you in a bit, okay? I love you. So after hours and hours, days really, of trying to tweak the audio, I got it to a place where it was serviceable, but barely, and I was able to deliver it to the client, and I could tell they just weren't overjoyed with the segment. So now I just know to never leave home without a mic again, even if they promise me they won't be shooting anything on that day, because you just never know. Now, let me be clear, I still love the DJI mic too, as I know you can think of one main advantage over the air, but I can't tell you how many times I've actually forgot to turn on the 32-bit float. Because remember, you can only record in the transmitter itself. You can't record internally into your camera, not yet. So it's not as useful for me personally as I would have hoped it would be, especially when I forget to turn it on. But I do, of course, love the option, so that's why I tend to keep it hooked up to my FX3, which is my main workhorse. Or, God, for some reason I cringe every time I hear people say workhorse when talking about a camera. I similarly loathe when people say game changer, because no, Chad, the ND filter is not a game changer, nor is the new bootcut Gene, Michelle. So anyway, yeah, the FX3 is my main work mule or work dog or my main camera, and you know what I mean. Okay, so now I just bring my FX3 with me with the DJI mic attached to it, and then I also bring a Pocket 3 also with a third transmitter attached into this huge shoulder bag. Now, quick note is I'm gonna do a review on this, but just to know that if you're shopping for a camera bag, usually the inclusion of the word camera adds like 3 times the value to it. So that's where I picked this up from Home Depot or Lowe's. I'll have it linked in the description, but I think it also fits in an overhead in the airplane, and it's firm, it's tight, it fits everything. I think you can get an FX6 in here as well. It's got everything I need. But yeah, the Saramonic Air is exactly what I was looking for, and I only review products that I actually want or would fill the gap in my kit. Because I do get asked to review a lot of gear, and it's sometimes enticing, from drones, bags, tripods, action cams, but I presume I'd probably only use it once during the review, and then they sit collecting dust, guilting me from the depths of my closet. Yet the gear I get offered to review more than anything else are mics, like way more mics than you'd think. But they are always either super cheap or high-end and bulky. But then I saw these precisely as I was about to buy a second system to prevent me from fudging up another shoot. And then serendipity struck a high note, but luckily it didn't clip. So what happened is still a little unclear. It was something on the XLR top handle that I didn't click or link. Okay, no more trickery. I'm not going to use 2 cram. Okay, no more trickery. I'm not going to use a different angle. I've got, okay, no more, typically. And so the audio levels were way off, and I had to boost everything, which is probably why you hear a lot of that floor lifted and a lot of static or noise. Speaking of noise. So I had to lift the audio levels quite a bit, but it was both the same with the DJI mic and the Saramonic. So they were equally bad, and I tried to fix it. I don't know, could you tell? But I'm keeping it in because it is what it is. I make mistakes all the time, and that was just another one. If you could give anybody one thing in the world that would be make them happy, well, if you could get me one thing in the world, what would it be to make me happy?
Unlimited cameras.
Oh, I think you might be right. So to me, this seems like a clear case as to why you should always have a second wireless mic system in your kit if you can, or if you're gonna have one, maybe a compact one like this. Now, thank you all for your time and attention. I have a bunch more videos about videos like this on the way, so consider following along and subscribing. All right, thanks guys, bye.